welcome to Ratatap. I'm delighted to say we've got Fi from the Railway Hotel in Southend with us, one of the best music venues. Thanks for sparing the time.
So how did you get into running the railway?
So then I sort of started working here as a barmaid, and then just from there sort of started helping out with gigs, and then after that putting on gigs, and then just kind of getting more involved in the running of the place really, and it went from there.
How does a good venue play in putting on a gig?
Well, it depends on the venue actually. It depends on how far they want to take it. For us, we like to put in place things like the sound engineer or the bar and things like that. And sometimes we provide a certain amount of equipment as well, some backline and mic. So it's kind of up to the venue how far they want to take it. The minimum, I suppose, is the room. But if you want to provide backline, that's up to you. Or if you want to provide sound engineer, that's up to you. That's what we do. We like to provide sound engineer because we've had our guy for a long time and he knows what he's doing. He knows a desk. And we've also got a house drum kit, so if some bands want to use that, then they can. So that's how much we put in.
How important is a good sound engineer to a gig?
Very, very, very important. Yeah, definitely important. It's good to know the desk inside out, the equipment, and it's also good to know the bands really. We're very lucky. Our sound engineer loves Southend music scene, and he knows a lot of the bands. So when he does the sound for them, he already has an idea of what they sound like, what they want. But also it's good for the sound engineer to communicate with the band and say, what do you want from your gig? Would you want sort of loads of drums or a particular sound? So it's very important.
So it helps when you've got someone who's quite well connected with other people in the music industry, locally or...
Definitely.
Who are the people, you talked about sound engineers, I think you mentioned promoters as well. Who are the people you deal with on a sort of daily basis when you're putting on gigs?
Well, our main, we put on a lot of gigs ourselves, myself and my husband, but we've also got like Lance Cusack and Tom Burgess. They put on gigs, they put on Shangri-La every week, and they do the odd weekend gig. And we have the odd people that sort of hire out the weekends regularly.
So they're promoters?
They're promoters, yeah.
Are they from bands?
They're all from bands, yeah.
Okay, so
a lot of the promoters
put them on themselves?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Or if there's some certain people's birthday parties, everyone usually books bands as well for their own private parties and stuff. So
if I was in a band or if I was like a solo act, what should I be looking for in a good venue if I want to put on a gig?
I suppose you'd want to find out. I don't know. With this venue, we're quite lucky in that a lot of musicians drink here already. So if a band put on, if someone wants to put on bands, quite a lot of the musicians will go up naturally. But it's not. I don't know. It's difficult. It's not always up to the venue to kind of promote, to get all the people up there. It's really about the promoter. Have you got a good following, or can you get it out there to people? But luckily with this venue, we can help get it out there because we have people that drink here anyway. So to get the gigs promoted, we can help with that.
Okay, because you're like sort of part of the music community.
Yeah, I guess because we're musicians as well, and we sort of communicate with other musicians, so together we can all communicate the gigs that are going on. Whereas if you're a venue that sort of all you do is book, you don't get involved in anything else, it's more difficult for the promoter to get it out there by themselves. But at least with this place, we can all do it together and it helps.
What's some of the challenges have you come up against? What have been some of the bad gigs and what have been the reasons for that?
I suppose we find that the difficult gigs, I suppose, are bands that people haven't heard of, which is, for a long time we found if people haven't heard of the band names, they don't tend to come out. But actually recently it's not been too bad because as long as we describe them and say, look, this is a great band, they're a garage band or a surf band from France or wherever they're from, as long as you give a lot of detail to people, they'll probably try it out. But that was one of the difficult things, is by putting unknown names on the bill and not having people go, because unless they've heard of you, a lot of people don't like to try the gigs out. But I think as long as you describe them in detail and let people know, oh, you've never heard of them, but they've just take my word for it, they're brilliant, then hopefully people trust in that and give it a go.
So some of those bands might benefit from a promoter or something like that to sort of, especially if they're from out of the area?
Absolutely, yeah. We're starting to book bands from out of different countries now. So as long as we kind of go into detail, put out their YouTube links and give a little bit of description of what they're about, at least people who haven't heard of them will know, though they sound cool, so I'll come to the gig.
Who is the hardest person to get hold of, do you think, from a music point of view? Who's a vital sort of cog in the wheel that's generally difficult to find?
Well, the music, the difficult people to get hold of, from our point of view, are the people, the punters, to come to the gigs, because that's everything else we usually put in place.
So if you've got a gig on tonight that you're putting on, what are the tasks that you've got to do?
Well, there's a lot of beforehand work to do. So I'd say to someone they need to book the room first, and the earlier the better. For here, especially because at the moment leading up to Christmas, a lot of the dates have gone. So I'd say if you want to put on a gig, make sure you give plenty of notice to reserve a date in the diary, and also that will allow for plenty of time to promote. And then promotion's a big part of it, so posters are good, Facebook events, get hold of the Echo to promote your gig, and keep telling people. But if you leave it to the last minute, you won't obviously have enough time to let people know. So the longer time span, the better. And then at the gig, I'd say make sure that the bands know what are going on, because if a band turn up and they have sound check, and our sound engineer is doing their sound, the bands will want to know what time they're on, what's going on. So communicate with them and say, okay, you're on at this time, you're on at this time. And we also find that maybe having a DJ on in between bands is good, because it keeps people upstairs in the room.
Thanks very much, Fi, for spending some time with us today. And we look forward to seeing a gig in the Railway Hotel soon.
Hi, I'm Fi from the Railway Hotel. Tap in.